It's about 7 a.m. Monday morning, August 29th, 2022. I said I wasn't going to cover Convo Couch. They're so radical, I am wake up. That I was done, that I was moving on. And I think I have moved on. That I don't care anymore. But, so I'm listening in. The other day, I think this is from Friday. I'm not going to download it. I'm not going to share it. They were talking about Zuckerberg on Rogan. Jardula and Poikonen ended up in a fake fight. They basically stole from me. They kept mentioning the word parameter. Then I heard Pasta use the word parameter later on the Convo Couch. I'm not going to download. I am quitting this garbage, but I'm not afraid to confirm my findings that these are internet Cointelpro actors. They're the proverbial rats. Just days prior, and in general, I've spoken of the social containment program described by Eglin Air Force Base. There is a backstory in which it turned out that Eglin is the second or the number one most popular small town. This is from a number of years ago. It turned out that a heavy population of an Air Force base was on Reddit, was participating with Reddit. These people, AM Wake Up, Rockfin, they're so radical. They are aligned with things like Reddit conspiracy, obviously Jason Burmis. They were in the Russia Today Sputnik. They're tied to that. They're tied to Dore. Dore is tied to Cenk Uygur. Dore is tied to Joe Rogan. So these guys were having a fake fight. They're talking about the parameters of what's allowed to be discussed. And that is exactly what I was talking about just days prior. This is precisely how they mimic myself. It's precisely how they've been doing that. I already made videos on Reddit, the parameters thing, the Eglin Air Force Base. I've done that a few times. I have autism. It's basically Asperger's. It's the highest functioning autism that there is. It's the type of magical brain work that allows people like myself to slip through the cracks as undiagnosed. The primary victims of such a scenario tend to be women, yet there is a substantial amount of fellas, blokes, myself is one example, and we too have that female version of autism. It's not that we're feminine. If a woman has the male version, like a Sheldon, it just means they're more inward. I'm not female. I've never been attracted to guys. I'm just totally a guy, hetero type guy. And I'm not just saying that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anything to take from Seinfeld. See, I don't steal shtick. I try to be an open book, which is another Asperger trait. I'm honest, sincere. I have no ability to lie. I do have a master's degree in social theory. I was in the most progressive, up-to-date, authentic branch of sociology called social theory, based on the Frankfurt School, critical theory. That's why I mention a lot of Eric Fromm, and recently I did a video or two on Herbert Marcuse. And I did a video on Hannah Arendt, who was sort of in the Frankfurt School, but not really. I mean, Eric Fromm wasn't really in the Frankfurt School, but he was. The Frankfurt School is just a phrase. There wasn't actually really technically a Frankfurt School. There was, but there wasn't. And they were driven out of Germany anyway. They had to flee. And then over the decades, after the original intent of that's a Max Weber phrase, the original intent, once that was lost, when Habermas moved in, after Fromm and Marcuse passed on, it fell apart. There was no there anymore for critical theory. It's like looking at Anonymous. It used to be an Anonymous, and then there wasn't, and now we don't even know what the original Anonymous was about. It's probably real to an extent, but it was a trap. If you go back into time, into internet history, it was a trap set up by the U.S. government and their allies. They're called Eyes, Five Eyes, and there's more than that. Snowden showed the pure documents that these disinfo shills are working off of. I don't necessarily think they're that much involved, and that they're more like script readers than actual thinking agents. So let's say someone like Naomi Wolf or Joe Rogan, they get a little trickier. It gets one thinking, are they more than just informant, shill actor types? Or did they actually become agents? When they get big like that, it makes me wonder. I shouldn't say makes one wonder, but I can't think for billions of people. I can't think for, say I get 20 page views, 20 people, 20 real people who are trying to learn, and they're also interested in this topic that I'm fixated on. Then of course they're going to watch my videos because they know I'm honest. They know I have a proven track record of exposing fake news in regards to the Brett Kimberlin thing back in the day, the Michael Connell assassinated by Karl Rove hoax back in the day, amongst a lot of other hoaxes. I had Asperger's autism, but I didn't know it, so I didn't end up where I was meant to be if I had had that awareness. I have the Asperger's that basically makes me too nervous for interviews and for various scenarios. So I have all this sensory overload coming at me every moment. And there's just nothing I can do about it. There's no cure other than to kill your brain by taking psychiatric pills. There's nothing one can do. There's no cure for it. The society is not built for people with Asperger's autism. It isn't. And then people like myself who go undiagnosed, unless we're extremely lucky and become successful, we slip through the cracks. Now myself, I did okay. I was clever enough to get into my middle ages and survive it. So I'm proud of myself. I don't feel like a chump for all this time on the internet. It's not my fault that the internet is rigged so that all my great work is suppressed. I've probably said enough to put together a video. This is how I'm going to roll with it now. I just have the audio cooking and I'm talking. I'm not scripted because I think life is meant to be lived unscripted. Sure, we can prepare. There's minute things that we must do to create structure. You build for success, you prepare for success. There's some phrases out there. But when the game is rigged, one must find other ways to generate meaning. in the Viktor Frankl sense. Frankl was a psychiatrist or psychologist who survived Holocaust camps. He was older. He was already around 40-ish, I think, and so he observed and he noticed that some people cracked while others were able to continue to find meaning despite the horrors of it. I'm not saying any of us are living in anything close to Nazi Germany, or I'm sure there's a few people who have it very tough, but I doubt they're on the internet. Maybe they're a little bit on the internet, but I don't think, say, homeless people all drugged out and living on the streets in tents. I now see that's going on all over the place. I don't think those people are in this dialogue. Now, that fake conversation, I should get back to that parameter thing just so this video makes at least a modicum of sense. So, Eglin Air Force Base, they have all these documents, and they have Dr. Frankenstein styled sociologists and social psychologists and thinkers. So they have those demented people who, they're like Frank Burns, because if they were actually good at what they do, they wouldn't be Frank Burns. They wouldn't be C-. They wouldn't join the military to be a thinker. There's no one good who is in the U.S. military. There really aren't any good cops. There might be cops or military people who are at like a minimum of humanity, so they seem to be great when they're just doing what they're supposed to do. They're not really doing much more than that. The system is broken, and it's worse than that because we have no place to vent. We have these fake people venting on our behalf, and they're not even doing a good job at it. They're getting us all stressed. They flap their hands around. I watch them. I observe them. And I notice all of them are on drugs. They're down and out. I notice that they're scripted. I notice their eyes. So basically, these guys are talking about parameters. I already made videos on Joe Rogan, how he's tied to the CIA. Now, Poikonen's like acting like, I don't think he even mentioned Baker's name, but he starts to mention how Rogan's always having on CIA agents. Well, I've already covered all that crap. I've covered the parameter crap, but when I do it from the Snowden documents. I do it from that Eglin Air Force Base story. So I'll go into my archives and I'll find that Reddit stuff and the junk stuff out of Eglin Air Force Base. I think that's in Florida, but I'm not sure. They're the ones. These are the ones. Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan, Tim Pool, Cassandra Fairbanks, Brandon Darby, those are Cointelpro. Poikonen, Jardula, Fiorella, and all those backwater ones. That 500-pound guy, the Yeti monster guy who looks like Poikonen's older brother or something. They're all in on it. They're all scripted. And it's quite ridiculous. They try to go on as if there hasn't been shade and Freud. I think they just want to keep it all contained within the people I was attracted to, precisely Fiorella, Jardula, Poikonen, Franco. I never really saw what's good about watching Elwood, Kim Iverson, Lee Camp, the bigger names, Faran Franzak, the ones who seem more George Galloway. They're awful. I don't know why anyone would be watching that. Well, I know why they're watching it, because the only other alternative is to quit the medium, which is what I did, but I'm sure not everyone else can do that. So I make these videos to try to get that message across about Marshall McLuhan. The medium is the message. I try to show how everything has been co-opted. There's nowhere to go, that one must think for themselves, and that they must curate what they're looking at themselves. They don't want to rise and shine media, mythologize it, waking up, going to fault lines from 7 to 10, and then from 10 to 1 you can watch They're So Radical, and then I think Monday, Wednesday, Friday the Convo Couch is on. What is one to do Tuesday and Thursday? But it's a really small group of shows. I now see, though, that AM Wake Up Rockfin is posting some videos to YouTube, but not that many. They're not posting all of them. They're cowards. They're not really advertising that they're back on YouTube, and they're not on YouTube that much. I only found them because I typed in Whitney Webb, and I found that one. Whitney Webb somehow is popular. Well, not somehow. She was pushed by Tim Dillon, who's buddies with Rogan. They try to make it, now AM Rockton, they try to make it that they're not involved with any of that, and they're just independent media and pointing out Rogan, and Jardula was trying to stick up for Joe Rogan, saying, well, maybe Joe's just naive and they're taking advantage of him. And then Poikonen was like, that's not what I was saying. But what they really were saying is that they stole my shtick, because only a few days previous I was talking about the parameters. And they're now using that word, that phrase, these are the parameters. And they, instead of social containment, which Eglin Air Force Base coins it, AM Wake Up Rockfin, They're So Radical, they call it, what do they call it? I have to hit pause. They call it narrative management. Narrative management. So they repeat these phrases over and over again. And now, after I use the word parameter, I don't know if they're gaslighting me. I don't know why they're so focused on myself. There are a number of reasons why they continue to mimic me. I think they probably figured I would be too scared to admit the idea that they're mimicking me, because it'll make me look paranoid, or look at that guy. He thinks they're mimicking him, but I do. So I was talking of parameters by Eglin Air Force Base, the social containment program, and then there they were talking of parameters in regards to Rogan and Zuckerberg. They they complement the mainstream media. They're trying to steal that truth that I present. The truth transcends who I am as an individual. I just happen to be a human form of medium, which is sharing or communicating the truth of it. Some of it, I think they're gaslighting myself specifically, but then it gets too difficult to... It gets into the gaslighting area. The way that disgusting woman from California is stalking my channel, she works for them. She's a total nut job. I won't say much of her, but that's what I'm talking about. These are demented people. They're effed up. They're drug addicts. All of them are effed up in the face and in their minds. And I'm talking Jimmy Dore, Kim Iverson, Joe Rogan. I'm not afraid of any of these people. I would never want their money. I would take their fame. Not that that's possible. I gave Sam Harris a chance the other day, and even though he sounds reasonable, he's either in on it or he has incredible blind spots that turns himself into a tool. Krishnamurti got through. Krishnamurti and Eric Fromm, maybe McLuhan. If you get into those people, it's the general you. Anyone who gets into those people will have the opportunity to break off from the conditioning. There's nowhere for me to go for this information. Every website is rigged. There's nothing nowhere. There might be a forum out there somewhere with truth, but where are you going to find it? So there's no viralness to them being scripted. There's nothing's going viral that I cropped out their eyes and proved that they're Cointelpro. It's just not happening. But I was able to get into their heads. I did reverse the process. They know that's probably why they mimicked me. I was too effective. See, they effed with me back in the early 2010s. They effed with me. I mean, they really effed with me hard. It was an associate of Adrian Lamo effed with me. Others effed with me too. They think Ron Briner works for the NYPD anti-terror, whatever's going on there. I know from past research that there's a big anti-terror network in New Jersey. New Jersey seems to be tied with New York City, New Jersey, that area. He effed with me. Andrew Breitbart was in on it. He did nothing for me. He did know about me, and then he died like a half year later. It was scripted. It was all a big, militarized, alternate reality game. It was fake. Marcos Malitsis was exposed. I helped expose, but it was other people who exposed him as a CIA agent. They looked at the timeline, and from what he said in an interview, he was running daily costs while associated with the CIA. Anderson Cooper is tied to the CIA. This is all factual. It came out a few years ago that, who's that guy? Tucker Carlson is tied to the CIA. I think Sean Hannity wears a CIA pin. I didn't try to verify that or anything. Megyn Kelly is Cointelpro. You can just tell no one's going to say stupid things like she did. About blackface, remember that? No one's going to do that unless they're Cointelpro. Joe Rogan is Cointelpro. So they Rockfin AM, there's a radical, tries to co-opt the general idea that the military is all over the internet. The thing that backfires on Poikonen is that he is from the Jimmy Dore branch. That's why they bring in fake fights. All these things are tied to the hip. They want them tied to the hip, and then they want to give the illusion that they're not tied to the hip. So they have, maybe they'll have Jardula and Poikonen have a fight, and they'll no longer be together. I guess it depends on how popular their show is going. They broke up Fiorella on Convo Couch. Those guys were not really that popular. I guess after a while, though, you keep adding up these thousands of page views. So Burmis gets his thousands. H.A. Goodman gets his thousands of page views. Tim Pool gets a lot of page views. Rogan. The small backwater ones, you get Manitalk. I mean, it looks ridiculous that he's in on it, but they're going for the ones who branch off into craziness, to be honest. Someone would have to be crazy, insane, to participate with Manitalk, Redneckonomics. But the Propaganda Live guy does that. But no one's going to know who Propaganda Live is. People barely know who Glory Jones is. So what I did is I did what I could do, and I proved that they manipulated, doctored the video at Echo Park. That was a pretty good find that I did there. Then it turned out that their video was used in the Sicknick case for the January 6th thing. Now, since I can go on and on, I'm going to try to wrap this up. I'm just going to try to edit out any clicks that I made. But otherwise, I'm not going to edit myself anymore. I mean, I could. Maybe I should say never say never. There's this trick. You just speak monotone, and then you can, if you're a slow thinker like myself. I'm not a slow thinker, but I need to be slow for it to make sense. I'm able to expand on things. I'm able to use little tiny bits of data. I was academically trained, so I understand the rules of plagiarism. I understand diction issues. It's very difficult to speak like this. That's another reason why one can accept that they're scripted. No one talks like them in real life. They're not real actors. Even real actors would have trouble pulling off the crap they're doing. Maybe they're mimicking me because they don't want me to stop. They want me to keep going on this path of opposition to them. But I'm not going to do it. So even though I spoke about this stuff yet again today, I'm not going to download them. I could. I now see that AM Rockfin is on YouTube. I'll just throw them into the tags. I'll throw Jimmy Dore, Joe Rogan, Zuckerberg. I'll do what I have to do with the tags, with the stuff I add in there to get my stuff known. I know, how to do this. I did it, and they went after me for Kimberland. So I did, but they already shot their load in regards to trying to ruin me. They did destroyed my conditioning. They gave me the opportunity to quit the medium, to quit the ambition. I admitted I had ambition in 2008. I had ambition, so I'm on Brad blog with Brad Friedman. The guy even said I could write for him. He started giving me opportunity there. Then I found out about Brett Kimberlin. And then Brad Friedman doxed me, Brad blog. But I got the revenge. I persisted. I could go into how they tried to destroy me. The soul can't be destroyed, though. Spirit can't be destroyed. I don't have borderline, bipolar, schizophrenia. All I had to suffer with is sensory overload. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. Things are so clear for me. And I'll continue. I will continue to make videos. I just need to stop accepting this racket scam, I call it. Jimmy Dore, Fiorella, all that stuff, running through all the names. I'm not going to do it. I need to quit this racket scam. I need to yet again tell myself I hammered the nail in, and that's that. Nail is hammered in, it's done. They stole the word. They tried to steal the word parameter. And it's just one more example of them effing with me. But I'm clearing it up right here by saying they stole that from me, but it's based on the Eglin Air Force Base Social Containment Program. And if you look into that thing, it's all about how you have influencer nodes. It looks very similar to one of the Snowden documents. I'll do that light editing. I'm just going to try to light edit. I talked and talked, so I don't really have to worry so much about big gaps of spaces. And those gaps I just want to leave in there somehow. I'm at the point where I'm like, the gaps are okay. This is unscripted. It's not unthought out. It's not chaotic. It's not chaos. I am trying to make sense. I know I'm making sense. Thanks for listening and watching, checking out some screenshots. This is the Tokyo Shemp News Network at 7:38 a.m., August 29th, 2022. Quit the medium. I'm not saying quit using the internet. Maybe quit using the internet, but quit the medium. Quit it. You know what I'm saying. Quit caring. It's all fake. That January 6th thing, that was an entrapment. And now they're turning that into other things that just keep bubbling up and snowballing. They create the points of departure. And those are fake. There's no turtles all the way down propping up. They're fake narratives. And it's not called narrative management. It's called social containment. And if you look, it's not called narrative management. It's called, in the Snowden documents, it's called simulating outcomes. Well, I forget what the Snowden documents say, but that's why I make these videos, to put them up there, so people know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, that's it. That's it. I got work to do. I've got to edit out any clicks, and I don't think I coughed. Then I have to go to the video maker, and I'm going to mail that in. I'm not going to go nuts over all this. And then it takes time to process it. Okay, people, sincerely, truly, thank you for clicking on my videos. If you have, thank you for, someone left a nice comment. He could see that what I was saying was true. In regards to Fiorella, thank you for that comment. It does help me to know that there are real people out there who grok what's going on, that they can see that they're scripted and then wonder, how can those effing creeps be so outrageously scripted? Well, I think because I went into their faces, I went directly to them to let them know that we know. I think that threw them off their game quite a bit. I just don't have the time or inclination to do this full time the rest of my life. I'm just not going to do it. The key is to have nothing to do with a man hands type person. And they're all man hands. Poikonen is a man hands. Kim Iverson, they're all... Now, man hands isn't necessarily a woman with big hands. And that's kind of like someone with the female type of Asperger's doesn't necessarily have to have boobs. And their thingy is different from the people on my team. It's not really team sports because I believe in monogamy. I guess I look at it as tennis, one-on-one, one versus one, one-on-one. But this is how I keep going, and I don't make any sense. Then I don't make any sense, and then my videos suck. I look like an idiot. Well, I sound like an idiot. Okay, thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye. This is the Tokyo Shemp News Network with no parameters. Unscripted. God bless the audience. Woohoo! Woohoo! Dun 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 I wonder how you're feeling. It's ringing in my ears, and no one to relate to except the sea. Who can I believe in? I'm kneeling on the floor. There has to be a force. Who do I phone? The stars are out and shining, but all I really want to know, oh, won't you show me the way every day? I want you show me the way, yeah. Well, I can see no reason you're living on your nerves. When someone drops a cup and I submerge, I'm swimming in a circle. I feel I'm going down. There has to be a fool to play my part. Well, someone thought of healing, but all I really want to know, well, won't you show me the way every day? I want you show me the way. Oh, I want you day after day. I want you day after day. I want you day after day. I want you show me the way every day. I want you show me the way night and day. I want you day after day. Ding 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 ding.